Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Warmer weather is coming. That means now's the time to buy a Skeeter, Stingray, Sweetwater, Suncatcher pontoon, G3 Sportsman, G3 John boat. They got them all, Hurricane deck boats. Madisonville Marine, you will not find more different brands of boats under one roof and on one huge parking lot than you will find at Madisonville Marine. Madmarine.com to learn more, or go down to 411 North, Highway 411 North in Madisonville to see Madisonville Marine. I want to welcome the next member of our panel right here, Josh Ward. Thanks for being here. He sits down. He had some good points to make about that last topic of conversation. We don't have time for him. That's the thing. We're trying to cover about 40 different topics here. You literally could take an hour on each of them and go in depth on them, because there's 1,000 angles to these things, and a lot of it's being strewn out there as just, oh, well, this is this. And it's like, well, no, you can take this side and that side and this side. You got to know that. I just killed 30 seconds right there. All right.
As long as people know I made good points, though.
You did make good points. Good points.
I remember them.
They're out. We have a lot of spring football to come, but let's get back to the text email thing. Let's go to the Thunder Thornton to Joe DiPietro text. All right, here we go. On November 27th, that's a couple of days before they make the change, he's talking to the president. This is Philip Fulmer's, I think they're business partners in a couple of things. They're good friends. He's talking to DiPietro about a number of different coaches that would be possible hires, he thinks. But at the bottom, he says, P.S., fire Curry, hire Fulmer to solve it all. Okay, move forward 2 days. This is the day that literally that Fulmer is in Raleigh with Dave Doeren and John Curry. And Thornton texts DiPietro and says, all they would have to do. He asked Fulmer that morning, he says, I asked Philip the question if he would coach, and he said all they would have to do is ask. And then down at the bottom, DiPietro eventually responds, I understand he's a great man and a special man. Scale of 1 to 10. All right, Curry made his own bed. The Schiano hire, donors got him. Scale of 1 to 10, was there involvement here? How much involvement from Philip Fulmer and his crew in maybe helping Curry out the door?
I would say 8.
8?
You go from November 30th, Philip Fulmer's already taken an active role. John Curry is still serving as the athletic director, talking to candidates and their agents. And then the next day, John Curry is no longer the athletic director and Philip Fulmer is. That's a pretty quick turnaround. I don't think that's just a snap of the finger that happens.
Guys, your thoughts? Philip Fulmer, his involvement?
Well, he was Joe DiPietro's guy. He was hired last summer to be the advisor to the University of Tennessee president. And so he was his info guy that was giving DiPietro some knowledge, background, and clearly he wasn't on the same page with Curry.
Go look it up on the show. That day, I asked the question, should Curry be concerned? And some chuckles, and I said, I would be watching my back because it's House of Cards.
Well, and one more
8 months
thing
later, Fulmer's in his chair.
That was in that text message was that Thornton said that he didn't think he would take it to work under Curry, but it was a surprise when he said, I would be willing to coach.
Mike Leach, Fulmer was involved in the...
Yeah, he was not a fan of Mike Leach from what I was told, and at the very end, that was what ultimately brought Curry back to Knoxville, and Davenport telling him to get on the airplane and return to Knoxville. Everybody forgets, you still could have had Mike Leach when Philip Fulmer took over as athletic director. It tells you something that Philip Fulmer didn't even want to interview him or follow up.
And might have told Mr. DiPietro that we don't want to go down this road after Schiano.
And the history that Mike Leach has.
I think they had an agreement. I think Curry and Leach had an agreement. I think there was an MOU signed. It just never got public because it didn't need to, because Curry's got it in his back pocket. He never had to turn it over to UT, so it's still not a public document.
Fulmer's involvement, 1 to 10?
I don't know. I can't put a number on it. I wish I knew more about what was going on, who he talked to. I know that he cultivated a relationship with Chancellor Davenport. It's hard for me to say without having more knowledge. Was he involved with it? Sure he was. To what degree, I don't know.
It is twice now, though, where he's been waiting in the wings and they open and the seat opens up for him. It's interesting, which is why I warned John Curry on the show that Sunday. You might want to watch your back. All right, quickly, let's talk to football just for a second here. We got a graphic. Let's go ahead and put this up. Tennessee yesterday hires John Lilly, another aide to Jeremy Pruitt. He's going to be an off-field recruiting position. He's a former Georgia and Florida State tight end coach, former NFL guy. There are now 34 people, that includes Lilly, on this staff. 34. Now, Butch Jones had a good staff. It was a big staff, I should say. That sounded wrong. But quality control analysts, you got 7 of them now. And here's the thing. A lot of these guys have been coaches elsewhere. These aren't Joe Blows that are coming from high school trying to work their way up. Jimmy, I'll just let you handle this one. increased commitment to football, I don't think there's any question.
Absolutely. Now, the one thing that was interesting is that in a session that Jeremy Pruitt had with some media members a while back, he said he didn't think the numbers at Tennessee were much different than Alabama when he came in.
Well,
But they sure added, it seems like, a lot more people. I don't know exactly what the number was under Butch Jones, but yeah, I think this does demonstrate a further commitment to football.
I wonder how much of this was already budgeted under Curry and how much of it might have changed when Philip Fulmer got in there.
Right.
Because you would think Fulmer, being a former coach and having the president's ear, would have an easier time selling someone on, here's what we got to lay out, I've been there. Either it'd be interesting to go back and see what the budget said, how much of this was penciled in before Fulmer took over. Clearly, though, an increased commitment. Okay, when we come back, Josh, sit right there. I'll start with you. We got 8 questions, rapid fire, 7 questions, a bunch of questions, rapid fire on this topic of emails and texts. It's interesting. Come on back.